Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. These are 3 more alternative cards that we will be creating from the Hello Spring March 2025 paper pumpkin kit. But this time I brought in the Grow with Love bundle from our online exclusives line that coordinates beautifully, perfectly with this kit that was just released last week on the 4th. And so that is what the paper pumpkin kit looks like. This is my 3rd video on this. Those are the kit cards that you can make with the contents in the kit. And I have a ton of leftovers that we created with our alternatives 2 weeks ago. I apologize for last week. I was on vacation and I just ran out of time. But lots of good news today. So I really encourage you to stay with me because we're going to talk about the new catalog, new in colors, more paper pumpkin kits and everything like that. So on the right is the stamp set from the kit. On the left is Grow With Me or Grow With Love. And you can see the fonts and everything match up perfectly within those 2 stamp sets. And the ephemera images you get in the kit, you can stamp from the Grow With Love stamp set there and bundle. And in those Spring is in the Air die cuts, the chives, and the flower part to the chives, that's what you can cut out with those dies. So we're going to be coming up on the upcoming paper pumpkin kits. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit to explain that to you, and you'll get a sneak peek at a new sweet collection coming up in May with the new annual catalog. So with those dies, you get that little coin purse, not coin purse, but coin packet die cut there. Those are some concept art, well, 1 card and 3 of those seed packets, a coin packet, a gift card that will fit in there perfectly. And you can also make your own size note cards to pull in and out of there. I put that together in a super complicated way. I'm going to show you to do an easy way later on down the line. So again, hang in there with me. I know this is a longer video. I have a lot to share with you, and a lot to show you. And those are the other 2 packets that I made. And I brought in Timeless Plaid Designer Series paper in the spring catalog to use on these alternatives, along with some other die cuts and embellishments. Pretty much everything I'm using today is from online exclusives, but those 2. I'm only using the one on the right. That's from the Christmas catalog of the Drewsies. I still haven't gone through or separated my stuff yet, so everything's still kind of a disaster here. And again, that is that Timeless Plaid 6x6 Designer Series paper in the spring catalog. There are 14 colors in that paper pack, and I was hoping it might carry over. It's not going to because there's a couple in colors in there that are retiring. And we'll talk about the new ones coming up. We have the Spring is in the Air dies. I'm going to be using the new mini corrugated folder, not the plaster painting one. That Pattern of Friendship die, I will compare that to a cover plate. That thing's fantastic. We are using that on our first card, which I've already pretty much layered up for you, but I'll talk you through that. New dies are fancy borders. I did not bring those in because I had to switch gears a couple times back, and I label those all differently. I am using the textured notes this time around, and that is going to be, I believe, on our 3rd card. Okay, PDF and the new dies coming up. You want to pick those up. I will have all the info over on the blog. Subscribe to my newsletter because that came out last week. That's going to be April's paper pumpkin kit. Inked Occasions. That is going to be May's, more of a masculine. And coming up here, this is a new sweet collection in the new May to, April catalog for 2025 and 2026. And one of our in colors there that you saw is going to be a returning one, a Strawberry Slush, and I will get you another sneak peek at that later on. So for our first card, again, all those dies cut out the exact same ephemera that you see over on the left-hand side. And what I pointed to you, the dies will not cut out the words underneath the image there. I cut my stamps apart, and don't hesitate to do that ever with your cling mat or your clear. If you get good clean lines, they're going to go right back together. And so you have strips there that will cut out the sentiments and all the images in there, that little circle for the grow with love sentiment there. And I am leaving my window open because there's an awesome thunderstorm coming. It's 80 degrees, and I'm going to enjoy that after this winter. So back to this card. I layer this up real nice using the Pattern of Friendship die. And you can switch that around too to change your orientation if you like, for just for a different look. And we'll go from there. All of these cards today, they are very, very white in the background. At least 2 to even 3 of the layers are white. So for our first card there, basic white card base, you know, the thick A2 top folding. The mat is another piece of white cardstock, and that was adhered down with, oh, what I use? Liquid adhesive. And then I cut a piece of white cardstock from that cover plate I told you about. Old olive for the mat from the card base that came out of the kit. I was going to do this sentiment on white cardstock with Lost Lagoon ink, but I changed my mind at the last minute and decided to pull in some Lost Lagoon cardstock and heat emboss that with the white powder. You want to always use, something to de-static the powder and the ink. Watch your margins, especially if you have a large margin around your sentiment, your image, your stamp, or whatever. You always want to wipe that off. And so I'm laying that down twice. And 3 and 4 times. It's easier to me to get a much better impression that way rather than lay it down too hard on the cardstock and get those lines that you saw over there on the left, which is why I had to turn over the cardstock in the first place. So now I'm just going to grab our white powder, pop that on there. Got a little teeny tiny bit over there on the left, but nothing like I did before. So that way when I do heat emboss it, you're not going to see any specks left over or anything like that. And you want to heat the heat tool up to number 2 and let that heat up for a little while. So that way, the less you manipulate the paper, the better it's going to turn out, and without warping or anything like that. But you definitely want to keep that heat tool moving or the paper moving to everything's melted down. And I'm going to grab that little die from Grow with Love dies, and it's barely going to fit over there, but it does. But I have a Swiffer cloth just to pull off that powder that we laid down, so the powder would stick to the ink for the most part. And you can see where it did not, like I said, I just turned over the cardstock and we're good to go. That's why there's 2 sides to every piece of cardstock. So I'm getting my die cut tape down to the cardstock there with that low tack tape. This is the one time where I will be bringing in a Stampin' cut and emboss machine. It's the mini, to get that crank through, because the large one on the desk with my workspace is just kind of awkward how I have everything set up. So that is a good fit. I think, yeah, card number 3 is going to be a tight fit. And yeah, that's the one with the same font with the sentiments. We're going to pop that out, pull back in our card base and everything there. Those 2 are from the paper pumpkin kit itself. I just threw a couple of glue dots on the back of that basil image there. Got it adhered to, I don't know what that image is called, but it's another herb. Popping Stampin' initials on the back. Be careful with the size, up there towards the top. And I'm okay with that coverage. I just got, my usual neurotic. Grabbed another Stampin' Dimensional, cut it in half just to add some coverage to the sides there. And I'm going to lay that down over towards, I think more so towards the right. And then the sentiment on top there to the top left. And then a glue dot with a bow I tied off screen from the twine in the kit. Okay, so I told you to listen all the way through, and since I'm just adhering now, new in colors. We know about the strawberry slush, okay? Remember Soft Sky from a while ago? Something like that is coming back. I think another one, Tangerine Tango, a decade or so ago, but these are under different names. I'm not going to use those embellishments over there. I stick to the jerseys. Okay, so the Soft Sky, Tangerine Tango, but it's not going to be called that. Okay, it's card number one. We got through two. Mental note. Card number, remember Yo Yo Yellow about 20 years ago? That is another one too. I do remember the other two, and I'll get back to that. Card number two, top folding A2, basic white thick. Our mat is going to be crumb cake. And then the cardstock to the right, I'm going to emboss that through the mini corrugated folder. Those 5 strips of paper there, they are 3/4 by 4, and they are cut from the Timeless Plaid Designer Series paper. And then that little tag under the embossing folder, that also came from the kit. And we are just going to make a really cool design here. When you use our thick embossing folders like that, you have the base, then you have the folder and the cardstock, and then the plate number 4 on top of it. Run it through. Easiest way in the world to get your embossing folders to go through perfectly. No guessing games or anything like that. So, like I said earlier, these cards are really, really white based as far as the cardstock goes, the backgrounds. But if you really add like a lot of texture to the white with embossing or even using that cover plate I was telling you about, and then build up layers that way, you can keep like the top 2 layers or even the top layer of your card something colorful but minimalistic, and it'll really, really, really jump out against, you know, the white. I guess I'm seeing like it's kind of stark white, but it's a good stark white. So I somehow messed up on my measurements there. I had to take off a little bit with my paper trimmer, and always I have all the measurements, everything like that, over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com. There's always a link right to that blog post in the YouTube description. This time around, there'll be a couple other things as well, because as this video goes on, I'm going to talk to you about a card class that Lisa and I are putting on and showing you another sweet collection from that. So for this card, I kind of went with, well, not kind of, I did go with Calypso Coral, Crumb Cake, and Old Olive in the background there. So I'm laying down those 2 chive flowers with Calypso Coral, something a little bit more colorful and different than what a normal chive flower would be, because, this is all about color, creativity, having fun. It does not have to be normal. Got that down twice. And then in the Spring is in the Air die cuts, that one die cut in there will cut out the tops of those flowers, and then the stamped chive on the card there, but we're not going to do that. But if you wanted to stamp it out and then even go ahead and die cut out the card and stamp that from the Grow with Love bundle, you can do it. Everything that's in the Grow with Love bundle, you can recreate whatever's in the kit, and they just reflect off of each other beautifully. I'm getting down our sentiment there in Crumb Cake ink, and that's going to be die cut out with the circle from the Grow with Love dies. And I'm going to get everything adhered down with that low tack tape, take that off screen, and put it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So while I'm doing that, let's get back to the in colors. The one, okay, we know Strawberry Slush, that kind of tangerine tango-ish color. Yo-Yo Yellow, way back then. Soft Sky. And the other one, I want to say, is kind of chocolate chippy-ish. Um, the only name we know for sure is going to be Strawberry Slush, but I'm trying to describe to you the colors without necessarily giving away the names. And for those of you who have been with me for a long time, shop with me, even the new shoppers, anytime you do an order, $50, you're always in line to get, the catalogs emailed to you, not emailed to you, but, sent to you through the mail. Those will be coming out. You should be getting yours in April, so that way you can decide what you want to do. So far, our strips, got them all cut down, and I'm just kind of figuring out where to get them lined up, top to bottom, left to right, in the center there, because I'm going to stagger them a little bit. And if I get the one in the middle down first, I'm going to be okay. So 9 times out of 10, like the three strips I'm going to have on the bottom, they are going to be 3/4 by 4, and the strips on the top, they're going to be 1 inch by 4. This time I made them all 3/4 by 4, so I had some tight margins to work with there, but it really did work out just fine. So I'm getting those down with liquid adhesive, and while I'm getting all that adhere down, um, let's talk about. Okay, we did the new in colors. Oh, paper pumpkin at the very beginning. I showed you what's coming up, the dyes that you want to pick up now. The spring is in the air dyes. They have sold out, but for those three kits, you want to get signed up. Not for all three of them, but for April's. April 10th is the deadline there. You can subscribe by 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. If you go for 3 months and pick up those dyes, that's going to take you all the way through the summertime, and you're going to be okay. But give it a try. Okay, so what you saw me do earlier, that little teeny tiny tick mark at the bottom there, since I was working on tight margins, I wanted to make sure I got everything done right. I knew it was going to be covered up anyway from that piece of cardstock or designer series paper that we're laying down there. And that is such an interesting background with that really busy plaid pattern and with the corrugated embossing folder. Super interesting, very dimensional. And that card, again, that's from the kit. And I'm going to build up more dimension. That's going to go down on Stampin' Dimensionals, as well as those two little clips of coral flowers. And then our sentiment there, which is going to, and I know I'm talking ahead of myself, so I can talk about other things. And that is going to go, okay, the flower is going to go where they normally go. And then the sentiment is going to go at the top left there. And I eventually pull in a gold, one of those druzies from Christmas. Use whatever embellishments you have on hand. And I went the small one, and then I had to go to the large one so it wouldn't compete so much with our sentiment there that we're putting on top. So for the inside of this card with the sentiment and even our little packets, seed packets, little coin purses, whatever, um, they fit perfectly in there. And I don't know about you, but I like to grow little herb gardens in the window above my kitchen sink and cut them down. Get like some, oh, maybe like a quart of that of fabric, or even just some newsprint cardstock or a paper bag. Cut that into a square, roll it up, wrap some twine around it. Great little birthday gifts, or gifts for friends. My girlfriends love it, and it cost me maybe $3, to do. So, just lots of ideas for this paper pumpkin kit, and especially this bundle put together with summer coming up. Um, just great, super creative, really inexpensive, and fun to do. So you saw me cut the sides off of our stamped dimensionals there. They are called the bones, and got that down, and that is going to be it for card number 2. Now, on the go mega class, this is where I'm partnering up with my girlfriend Lisa Harden of the Stamping Zoo. 10 projects, you name it, we have it for you. And we're going to be featuring this sweet collection that was released last week with the new online exclusives. Those tassels there, they are not in the sweet collection, but we are going to give you a ton of those in all the sweet collection colors, both different kinds, because this is our collaboration. I'm seeing a lot of graduation cards in here and off to college things, and I'll talk about that more. You get 2 sheets of those puffy stickers, which I haven't seen them around for at least a good 15 years, and they're pretty large. And then twine, that is going to be Shy Shamrock, Azure Afternoon, Strawberry Slush, that new old in color coming back in, and tags to go is the stamp set along with the coordinating dies. They don't go anything with the designer series paper, but you will see the same patterns in there as we go through this. And remember those Valentine's Day boxes? Or no, the suitcase ones. No, the book ones for Christmas. We have them in a suitcase now this time around, and they are the cutest things ever. I'm gonna measure it right now. I mean, they're pretty sizable. On the handle side, they are 3 inches across and by 3 3/4. You can fit a lot of fun embellishments in there, whatever you want. So the designer series paper it is very geo kind of patterns in there, and you can fussy cut all these out, the suitcases, the little signs there, everything like that. But the colors are Azure Afternoon, Basic Black, Crushed Curry, which I am not a fan of, but it works here, Pumpkin Pie, Shy Shamrock, and Strawberry Slush. So even before an in color comes out, you have that available to you. That piece of paper right there, I'm seeing Valentine's Day there. And since this is online exclusives, it'll be around for next Valentine's Day. So keep that in mind. But those die cuts there, they will not cut out the patterns there, but they're the same patterns, if that makes any sense. So this is just going to be a super, super fun, sweet collection to work with. Um, we have scrapbook pages, 3D cards, just so many fun things planned for you. So be sure to pick up the kit, and I will let you, there's going to be instructions in the YouTube video, the description underneath this. This is going to be one of our door prizes. That's a cute little suitcase too. And it does all sorts of things, as you can see. Now, I can fit one of those suitcases in there that I just showed you with a lot of room on top for candy or embellishments or anything like that. But real quick, the measurements are going to be, 3 3/4 by, and on the handle side, 7 inches. So for card number 3, then obviously we'll into a little bit right now. This is going to be landscape. I'm going to use the Forever Plaid embossing folder. Take that off screen real quick. And that is going to be our second layer that we are going to, skip intro, to adhere to the card base with Stampin' Dimensionals. And this one is going to be more of a masculine card. I didn't mean for it to turn out that way. It just did. And we're bringing in our textured note frames there. I think I said this earlier. I consider these to replace stitched rectangles, which I've kept, by the way. And you definitely want to pick these up, because I am finally going to retire those labels, put them in one of my BOGOs or whatever, or, as a giveaway. Speaking of which, under 2 weeks ago video with the first set of paper pumpkin alternatives, leave a comment so you can win your own kit. Okay, I'll be doing that end of March. Shipping is on me and everything like that. So for our textured notes dies, I did the third one cut from basic white cardstock. Okay, and then I cut it again. No, from crumb cake. And then I cut it again from basic white. And then I took another label, the one smaller than that. So like the first 2 are going to be on the solid cardstock, the third one down. And then that one is on the pattern paper. That's going to be the 4th. But I thought that I could inlay the crumb cake, but you can't. And I didn't look at the inside of the die to see if there was like a separate cut for that. So what I'm doing now to so I can inlay that crumb cake into the white is I'm just slicing off the edges of the pattern it die cuts into that cut there from the crumb cake, and that's going to fit perfectly inside our white there. And then we have our pattern paper cut from the fourth die cut. And I'm thinking about using that sentiment strip there with one of our, the kit stamp set. It's like, that's going to cover it up a little bit too much, and nothing kind of really fits in there. So once again, I change gears and go to that frame with To a Wonderful Friend, and that is going to be, okay, wait, let me check here. Yeah, that is going to be from the kit, that sentiment there. And that's one that's going to be a super, super, you know, tight cut from that die cut. So I bring in that image there from the Grow with Love stamp set, and I'm going to be cutting that out of, or stamping that image onto very vanilla cardstock, despite the fact that everything else is white. Do not be afraid to mix your neutrals, especially very vanilla and basic white. I think it just has such an elegant look. And when you throw in other neutrals like black or any of our brown colors, even better. Once again, I think this kind of, I didn't mean for it to turn out this way. It just did. And it all originated, honestly, from the plaid pattern I picked from the designer series paper with all those 14 colors. And I didn't like how the basic beige on the basic white looked with my pattern paper. So I decided to go to pecan pie. But back to what I was talking about before. I can be all over the map sometimes. Um, if I had picked like something else of Calypso Coral, like our designer series paper with the last card, you can make something like this a little bit more feminine, but I do owe some guys a few cards because really, really tough winter. Um, my car has like a 5.5 inch ground clearance. My grate to my driveway is like really, really funky. And when it gets icy, it's just, not a pretty thing. And, friends with trucks, so yeah, this would be a great card, to give to them. Got everything die cut out, ended up staying with a pecan pie for our image. And this is where I'm stamping down onto basic beige cardstock our sentiment from, or using early espresso ink. So as I'm getting all this together, because I pretty much, talked you through it all, back to the class that Lisa and I are doing. This suite is called On the Go. It's available to you now. Pick it up. There'll be a link in this YouTube description, and search it over on my blog on the go, and that blog post will come up, and I'll link it to you as well. But it's going to be $49, and again, you're going to have videos, PDFs. We're going to send you some really cool things too. Lots of pillow gifts and products and just things like that to make it worth your while. Lots of fun, and everything is going to be going out by April 1st. You can either pick this class up through Lisa or myself, and she's with the StampinZoo.com. It's going to be the exact same class for both of us. We just got together and collaborated. She's a fantastic paper crafter. So I invite you to go ahead and take a look at her blog. So for next week's video, I'm not quite sure what we're doing yet, but I do know that I have the March paper pumpkin kit coming in. So there might be another batch of alternatives, and the giveaway for that will be at the end of March. But for this month, I still have January and February going because I got behind and I got late, and it was a short month, and my kit was late because of the ice storms. So yeah, final assembly for this card. I am putting our embossed panel onto our card base. That will be adhered with Stampin' Dimensionals, and then the die cut white panel from Textured Notes. That is going to be adhered down with liquid adhesive. And then remember we have that crumb cake cardstock that we cut and layered the plaid on top of with liquid adhesive. The crumb cake, part of that is going to be adhered with stamped dimensionals again. So we have a lot of good dimension to this card. And like I said earlier, this is where I can layer the backgrounds all in white. I've got the texture with the embossing folder. I got more texture with the die cut that I'm laying down right there. And then, it's all going up on dimensionals too, like every other layer. Then I have the crumb cake, and then I have the plaid. But since the orientation is different, it's not too over plaid or too plaady. So yeah, that's the Cindy word, too plaady. And where I had to cut that off from the die cut, I got that from the gal who does my nails, that sanding block. Use it all the time. It's fantastic. I'm going to lay out my images there that were laid down in pecan pie. And I think, no, that's Pebble Path. That's retiring along with Wild Wheat. I am going to miss those colors and Boho Blue, especially. Yeah, it's going to be tough. This is where the dimensionals are going on the back of that panel there. And I think from here on out, it's like pretty much assembly. I do kind of, well, you'll see when I get there what happens. But in the meantime, I do invite you to especially follow me on social media and big time sign up for my newsletter. I do way better communicating through that than anything else, even though I'm really trying to get better at everything. I'm actually trying to figure out how to, well, I'm taking a class on how to make reels because I'm getting over my social media fear here. So with our little images there, I got mini stamped dimensionals, 3 of them on the back of each of them. And I'm going to put them pretty much in the center of that plaid cardstock there. And kind of taping down, not kind of, but putting some very low tack tape on my sentiment. So where that just really helps me place them a lot and keeps the Stampin' Dimensionals on the cardstock where they need to be. I know that sounds weird, but you know how you have to like lay everything out and line everything up. So now I pull the sentiment off and I'm going to put some liquid adhesive right in the middle of that because I know that's going to go on top. And it's going to work out okay. And it stays down, but when I pick it up, it's like it was kind of floaty too much and curling up at the ends. So I'm going to sneak in mini Stampin' Dimensionals underneath each corner of the sentiment there. And then I will flip it up again and see it's kind of weird in the middle of it. And this is where I mess up. And I kind of, well, I put another glue dot, or not glue dot, dimensional underneath there. It got kind of hard to get underneath there. And it's like, no, this isn't working. It's like sticking up too far now. I end up pulling that off and it works out okay. So in the home stretch here, because I know this was a long video, I'm just going to take 3 of those gold druzy dots and embellish the card that way. I do want to thank you for your time today joining me. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe. Feel free to share. Definitely be sure to sign up for my newsletter and sign up for that wonderful class that Lisa and I have going on that you can have to your house in a couple weeks. So those are the 3 cards that we made from the February Hello Spring 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit and the new online exclusives, Grow with Love. So I will see you again next week.